So come with me as I do a bit of procrastinating in a interesting fashion today. So I have these items that I found at the Salvation Army over the summer that I said I wanted to unwind to reuse the yarn for, because I've found several videos all over social media saying how if you go thrifting and you crochet, you should find crochet pieces in like certain color yarns that you know you'd want to use, so you can then take them apart and reuse the yarn for something else or keep it as is. And this was one of the first few items I found in that store. I found 3 items total, but this was definitely the most interesting one because, as you can see, it just went back towards the left instead of going right. I don't know how they made this piece, but watching, like pulling it apart and seeing how they made this pattern was really interesting to do, because I know I can't personally do that, but however they did it, it took a lot of time to make this hat for them to do that. There's lots of surface crochet, there's double crochet mixed in with half crochets. It goes from going left to right to going right to left to going up and back down. This goes all over the place. And on top of that, this is all one skein of yarn. There's no like add-in colors or color changes that are separate. This is all one skein of yarn with all these colors in it. And I thought they looked really nice together. The hat was really cool, and I figured this would be a good way to even just somewhat learn how something like this would be made from taking it apart. Because again, it just switched directions. Every time it gets to a section where there is white yarn on the surface or some of that blue on the surface, it switches directions. I do not know how they did it, but just watch. There it is right there. I don't know how they did that, but I can make a rough estimate of how they might have, but will I be able to replicate that? Not anytime soon. There's probably someone out there that can for sure and knows what this like type of pattern is called, but I've never seen this before on anything. I think that when I found these like pieces in Goodwill, that these were like I feel like someone's grandmother made this like 30-40 years ago. And yes, I was watching Lil Simsy while doing this, and yes, I did try to start taking the part in the middle. It didn't work, which is luckily it didn't, because it probably would have been a mess. But I was trying to take a little short break from homework and decided, you know what? I need to get this bag off my floor with these pieces in it. I keep saying I'm going to take them apart and reuse them and add the yarn to my current stash. So this was the first one I grabbed. And it was definitely the most like intricate like looking, just because of how they did it. Like they started the middle of that hat off with a magic ring, and then it looked almost as if they did it with like the granny square pattern, but then added multiple chains in it and combined other like techniques of crocheting. This is why they say crochet cannot be replicated by a machine, because there's no way you can tell me that a machine is able to do this pattern exactly as is on repeat and it still have the same quality to it. Like whoever made this, they put a lot of time and effort into it, and I don't know what happened for it to end up at Goodwill, but I'm glad that I found it, because this was one of 3 of the first few pieces I've ever found at Goodwill that I was going to reuse. I do have a blanket that I got from Goodwill that I keep in my car. That one has a zigzag / wave crochet pattern to it. is like black, orange, and beige. I really liked the way that looked as is, so I kept that one as is. But this hat was so small, I was not going to be able to wear it, and I just really like the colors. But look at that. It's almost like a hexagon that they turned. That's not the right shape, at least I don't think it is. But you get what I'm saying. They started with that shape and then turned it into a circle and then made a hat. Like, when I first picked that hat up, the middle of it really looked like it was like the shape of a starfish. And in some parts of that, like, it looks like they even used a seashell type stitch or butterfly stitch, because taking it apart, it looks like a flower. But when it was whole, it looked like a starfish. There were so many pointy edges. Because look at that. That is like maybe 10 or 8 chains each for those sections. And this is the beginning of the hat. They started with that and then made the rest of that. I am pretty sure that hat took them forever to make just the one hat. So they must have really like loved the person that they gave it to, whether it be a family member or a significant other, but they put a lot of work into that hat. And now I have the spaghetti yarn from taking it apart, and yes, some of it did fall on the floor, but I was just standing at my desk. I really was not gonna keep all that on the table. I just knew it wasn't gonna stay on there. And I finally found these little, like, I don't know what they're called, but it was like this little clip that you put, like, I want to say thread or something on. I had a pack of them that I found in a bag of these crochet hooks, also at Goodwill at one point, I believe. And I just went to town rolling the yarn around it. It did not go the way I thought it would, but yeah, it started off like a square and then it turned into a circle, and this yarn, it kept knotting up, but I did what I came to do, and this was it. I was procrastinating doing homework a bit at the time because I had a large essay due in my marketing class, and this took me maybe, well, it took like an hour because I was recording it and my phone kept falling out my shirt. But if I wasn't recording this, it probably would have took like 30 minutes, but I just really wanted to share this with you guys so you could like see this, because I've never, and I mean ever, seen that pattern on a hat before, and I wish I would have took a picture of it beforehand, but I didn't think about that until after I took it apart. But I do still have the other 2 pieces in the bag that I got them in, and I don't even know if I want to take one of them apart anymore, because I've been seeing a lot of people on TikTok and Crochet Talk talking about these crochet do-rags and bandanas, and I found one. Yeah, I found one in Goodwill when, oh, I dropped the ball. Okay. I found one when I went into the Goodwill. Like, I was going in there thinking I was gonna find a sweater or something that I could take apart and get a lot of yarn for. Instead, I found these 3 small pieces, and I was just like, oh, okay. These are nice colors. This looks pretty interesting. Maybe I can figure out how they made it from looking at it. No, I couldn't. I sat there in the line, excuse me, and a few days after that, and after I got back, trying to figure out how I would do that, and I couldn't figure it out. I also saw this hack on a TikTok saying to take a paper clip to stick the end of the yarn to itself. I think I ended up taking that out though, but yeah.